And good afternoon. Hi, good afternoon for everybody that is live with me on Wednesday, the 8th of June. It's 3 o'clock in the UK, GMT. So we are just making sure everything's live. I'm just going to check on LinkedIn and my other channels. Just bear with me. Just check on YouTube as well. We're streaming today live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So whichever channel you're on, please just give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me some kind of notification that you're there, you can hear me, you can see me, and that the sound, lights, and colors and everything are crystal clear. So if you're not getting a good experience, just do let me know. Do DM me if that's not the case. I'm just going to also check on here that we're live. Yep, that's looking good on LinkedIn. Let's go to Facebook. Does it have anything? Sorry, I'm on YouTube first. Let's just check on YouTube. I think that's happening well. And I'm just checking in on. Awesome. Okay, so throughout the actual live session today, I'm going to go through my format. I've got a story to tell, a little bit about internal communications and how video can be super powerful, super valuable to a business, to the internal comms team, and most importantly, to the employees, making sure that employee experience is as good or to optimum for the business. So throughout the session, I'm going to be taking some questions. So if you do have any questions, do pop them into the messages. I'm going to try and jump between all the channels. So if I miss a channel or if I miss something, apologize in advance, and I'll circle back to you with regards to answering that question, whether that's on DM, whether that's on email, on either of the channels, or if it's just in a future video. So all of that said, let's just jump straight into the first part. Let's get to let's get the formalities. Sorry, I could just hear LinkedIn live there as well. Bit bizarre hearing my own voice while I'm talking to you at the same time. So 3 o'clock in the UK, obviously for our friends in the East, India, Australia, that side of the world, it's a bit later on in the day. Hi, good afternoon, late afternoon, if not good evening, and everyone on the west side, America, that side, I suppose good morning, depending on where you are in whichever time zone. Any questions, like I said, just send them through. So today, we want to cover obviously the 3 W's about video marketing for businesses, especially in the B2B space: the why, the who, and the what. So why, in 2022, still too many businesses do not leverage the medium, do not leverage the power of video. And I really urge you to jump onto the bandwagon, or even better, brand wagon of video marketing, because it's really powerful. It's a really powerful way to amplify your voice, get your message out to the people you serve, and better still, the people you serve and the audience you attract will gravitate towards you and help to build your business. I'm a strong believer of you don't know what you don't know. So if there are any other video marketing experts, video strategists, video production people out there that can contribute to the conversation, please join in. Please share your experiences, your knowledge as well, so we can build a community of success. Who's this for? This is for CEOs, MDs, sales directors, marketing directors, HR directors, internal communication directors, anyone who is in charge of people, in charge of growth, in charge of growing the business, whether that's internally or externally. This is for you. I've sadly still got this cough. I'm trying to really shrug it off, but it's being very stubborn. I got recommended to a great guy who came locally from Huddersfield to give me some acupuncture and some hypnotherapy, which has really helped. I must say a big thank you. It's as you can tell, it's not fully gone away, but it's fast. It's hugely improved. So big thank you to who you are. Moving on, just a little bit about me, just a short piece before we get into the thick of things. My experience over the 10,000 videos that I've produced over the years in business. We've been running Box Media in this business since 2000. So that's over 22 years old. I'm showing my age a little bit, but more importantly, over the 10,000 plus videos that we've produced with brands like McDonald's, First Bus, Red Bull, Johnson Paints, with our work being showed and displayed at places like Wembley, which is obviously an iconic world class stadium. We're really proud to have met some great people on that journey, done some amazing work. We're really proud of all the work that we've done, and we've been instrumental in really making sure that video can be presented and we can deliver a communication for our clients and our customers in the best way possible. As well as the big brands, there's loads and loads of other businesses and brands that are huge and successful in their own right, but probably just not household names. So we work with a lot of businesses over the time. I've got a simple belief. I want to just give away my secrets and really help as many businesses as I can. Information is out there, and but more importantly than just information is my implementation. So the thing to think about is I can give you frameworks, I can give you ebooks and all of that. The bigger question to all the directors, business owners is how are you going to implement whatever strategies we shared today, and more importantly, in the weeks and months to come, how can they be delivered how can you create sustainability in that business? Meaning we start a video campaign today, in 3 weeks time, in 3 months time, in 9 months time, how can we ensure that video campaign is still delivering against the objectives that we set out for right at the beginning? A few other quick housekeeping kind of questions and things. Like I said, no questions a silly question. Please send them in. Once I've recorded the session, I'll probably repurpose this, and it's a strategy that I will strongly promote with all our clients and people that are using video. Do long form presentations, do live videos, and then repurpose that content. Get it into an edit suite, cut it down, splice it into small bite-sized chunks, and put it out on all the channels that you think your audience is going to be on. That could be all the social channels, LinkedIn, this one, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. It doesn't matter where your audience is. Put the content out there and let the audience gravitate to you. Out of all of the channels, the most channels that are getting, I suppose, the most amount of traction at the moment in the organic space is LinkedIn and TikTok. LinkedIn for obviously a business community, and a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about TikTok, thinking that it's only for children, it's only for youngsters, only for kids, it's only for people that can dance. So I go against that school of thought. I think TikTok's for everybody. You've just got to give it a go, put your content out there, and your audience will be there. Just try it, and don't just try one video. Don't try 2 videos. Once again, it's a thing that I believe passionately about. Just like social media, just like writing or blog posting or SEO. You don't write one piece of content and expect that you're going to start to get traction. You don't put out one piece of social media content and expect to get traction. You consistently put out content on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and over time that actually starts to generate interest, likes, engagement, and then that will generate its own kind of call to action with regards to creating a sales pipeline for revenue and growth. Everybody on LinkedIn talks about know, like, and trust. I see that the NLT is know, love, and trust, because you need to really build brand affinity, as opposed to just liking something nowadays is just probably just not good enough. You want someone to really love something, and then that way you build that brand affinity so that you don't have to ever sell to them. You want to give them education. They gravitate towards you because they love what you do. They love what they see and what they experience. And when the time is right, then they will buy from you. With regards to how I help over this weekly session is all about helping our business community, our business owners and our directors really overcome challenges when it comes to video, whether that's video strategy, whether that's video production or video marketing, making sure that you've got a clear strategy, which is goal orientated. There's a production team in place, whether that's internal or whether there's a partner outfit, maybe like us, to work with that business to deliver the production and then to implement them videos in the correct places, whether that's once again on social or back on the website, and then being able to measure all of that good work to see what works and what doesn't. In 2022, your phone is more like a television, and your television at home is more like the radio. Time is moving so fast, technology is moving at such a speed. With the advent of so many new streaming platforms and technologies, at the pace of how YouTube and Google, Facebook, all these different channels are moving, a lot of us are just consuming content via mobile devices first, tablets first, as opposed to actually sitting in front of a TV. So where rewind 5 years ago, we would sit in front of television and consume a lot of content and maybe read a newspaper, a physical paper. Things have moved drastically forwards at a pace that is, soaring forwards. So, I genuinely believe that, your mobile phone is the new TV. I'm a strong believer of humanizing your brand wherever possible. Put a face in front of the camera. That's really powerful. And we've done many split tests in the past where companies or businesses have challenged us saying, well, what is better? Is it a face or should we use graphics? And I'm a strong believer of, well, let's always split test. I always say I'm just a man with an opinion, but you can't lie. You can't camouflage the data. And if there's anything that we want to benchmark against is, the data. What does the data tell us? And based on that data, then we can plan for next steps. Ultimately, we don't want to make video for video's sake. So it's not about just creating videos. Each video has to have a purpose. Like every post I put on LinkedIn, a LinkedIn expert told me, make every post count. So with that same mindset, with regards to video, we don't want to just create a quantity, a library, of volume of video. We want to make sure that each video serves a purpose, serves our ideal customer profile, our target market, and gives them some level of value, some level of education, so that it helps them overcome the challenges that they have and look towards you as that solution, that problem solver, and hence they gravitate towards you and then they buy from you as opposed to you selling to them. So I'm just going to do a quick check-in with regards to have we got any questions? So just bear with me. I'm just going to jump onto our channel of choice, which is, we've got a couple people joining us on LinkedIn. Hi Girish, if you're there, I'm just looking down on my phone. And hi Dalbir Singh, I hope you're well. Let's just check the other channels as well before I jump into today's main topic of conversation. Let's just have a look. We've got a few no questions yet on Facebook, but a few people joining us there. So hi to everybody on Facebook. Just give us a thumbs up or a like, everyone on Facebook. And last channel, just going to check in how we're doing on YouTube. And do tell me, so I got some feedback from last week that the audio quality was a little bit weak or could have been improved, and the video quality was once again a little bit weak, could have been improved. Could have been lots of dynamics, could have been my connection speed, could have been the type of camera I was using last week. So do tell me if the picture looks good, it sounds good, if you can see me and hear me crystal clear. Just give me once again a thumbs up or just put in the messages, looks good and sounds good. So all of that said, I don't have any messages at the moment or no questions. So today I really want to talk about there's three parts of a business that we really support. And I'm going to talk about internal comms, which falls into the realm of HR and internal. But if I take a step back, video plays an important role in sales, marketing, and internal communications. And in my mind, I put internal communication under an umbrella of HR. So that's everything about recruiting, your recruiting process. Once you've recruited, making sure they go through an induction process. You give people training, and then there's ongoing engagement. And the purpose of I suppose that function is to improve the employee experience. If employees have a good experience, then they're more vested, they're more invested in the business. And I read some studies, and I'm sure there's lots of HR professionals on LinkedIn, maybe even watching this, could share some stats that most people in organizations aren't actually looking for a pay rise. They're actually looking for more engagement, or actually to be acknowledged more often in a business. To be part of a family, to be part of that purpose is more important than just a incremental pay rise every year, year in, year out. So, if there are any of the internal comms professionals, any of the HR directors and professionals out there, please contribute to this conversation. Give me the stats and figures. And obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but to the best of my knowledge, money is important, but actually what's more important is purpose and being part of an organization, being part of a family, and making sure that everybody feels like they contribute to the overall goals. So what I'm going to talk about today is actually more about internal communications. We had a client that approached us. They were already an existing client, and we were doing lots of other video kind of content. And the content that we were doing predominantly was around the training aspect, upskilling employees, making sure that skills are optimum at the best of times. And this particular organization company-wise is an international company, but the business section we were working with, dealing with, was UK-wide. So right up to Scotland, across England, Wales. So quite a large organization, approximately 17,000 employees. And where they currently were at this moment in time, and this is a few years ago, is they were communicating with all of their employees, 17,000 of them, with a traditional newspaper. They were designing, printing newspaper, and then they were posting that out to each of the employees on a monthly basis to keep them posted on what is happening in the business, where the business is going, the challenges, and just an update on what's happening in the business. So when we first sat down to understand the challenge, and once again, forgive me with regards to all my contacts and friends who are in the print industry, because that's a great piece of work for printers. But in this day and age, moving forwards, we've got to really think firstly about the environment. Imagine the carbon footprint on a monthly basis, printing 17,000 newspapers and sending them out. So that was the first thing that came to our mind. But the second big thing was about engagement. How can a business really measure engagement from that traditional communication of printing, designing, and sending out a newspaper? So we sat down with the business, and like any kind of agency would do, is kind of first identify, do some discovery, and find out what are the challenges, what are the problems, to give it a bit of context. And the big challenges that came up straight away was there's a lack of employee engagement, there's irregular communication, there's information that is sent in silos, communication inconsistency, there's a lack of feedback, there was no interdepartmental communication, wrong communication technology if they ever used it, and there was an email overload, because if they weren't sending out a newspaper and they were coming back to email, that was getting all really messy. So, that was kind of like a bit of a quick discovery session that we did about some of the challenges that they had. So, this kind of business, national business up and down the country, big workforce, but they needed a more efficient, agile, clever way to really engage with everybody. So for us, that was a great opportunity. And the first thing that came to our mind really was the digital plumbing. What does the digital infrastructure look like? And, what does the digital footprint look like? And we sat down with the internal comms team, and the first thing was to think about that with such a big established corporate, that we didn't want to work off the main website. If there was any bumps, anything that slightly disrupted things, it could affect the other parts of the business that we didn't want to take responsibility for. So it made sense, made clear sense to set up a brand new microsite that specifically tackled the challenge of internal communications. So we had to think about creating a seamless journey from email, because we know that email was heavily used, but actually overly heavily used, and that's where all the communication was. But everybody's on email. We didn't have everybody's phone numbers, but we had everyone's email addresses. So that was the obvious choice with regards to getting the content through to them. So we designed the journey, the roadmap, where we email everybody. Very nice, really simple email, not overly wordy, but really simple, but with a simple thumbnail on there. So we really promoted driving the user to the landing page of this microsite, where we embedded video, and it was in a branded landing page on that microsite. So strategically, once we kind of mapped out the digital plumbing, it was then to sit down and think about, well, over the course of the year, how can we make sure the content calendar, the content plan, actually feeds into all the content over the year and then out to obviously our workforce. So we broke the year, the 12 months, into quarters, and we actually planned each quarter by focusing on the 3-month schedule that we broke it down. And then we went around with the internal comms team around the business, which was literally around the country. So in 1 month we were in Stirling, and another month we were in Leeds, another month we were down in Bath, as far down as Weymouth, and then across to the Midlands and back up north. And we basically planned the year on how we're going to go around the business in a very pragmatic way. So we were efficient with regards to what was happening in the business, what were the stories to feature, and in that way we could get the voice of the people on the ground. It's lovely to hear the different accents, different people that the business had, and that in itself gave a really nice warm feeling to the employees across the businesses, because they're very infrequently ever met. It was only maybe awards or large events where maybe they could meet other colleagues. But this was a way that, once again, a traditional newspaper could never really capture the voice and the energy of people up and down the country in the same way that video does. The actual program that we delivered, we broke it down into a magazine-style program. So in the early stages, we kept the duration around the 5-minute mark. And this magazine program that we created, we broke it into like 5 separate sections, and it was consistently underpinned by the brand values, so that we could see that over the course of the 12 months, over the course of the time that we send out the communications, the core values of the business could be shared and disseminated with the workforce. And in that way, it strengthens that messaging through the year. And the 5 sections, once we got past the intro, we had content pieces 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we always finished with the call to action, but most importantly, a competition. So quite often when we sat down with the internal comms team, when we through our discovery session, we often said, well, whether it's a newspaper or a video, once you start opening content, we've got to make sure we make content that people want to watch. That's the biggest challenge. And how else can we incentivize people to make sure they watch it to the end as well? Because it's quite easy. I mean, I do this all the time. You skim read, and likewise in a video, you don't want people to just skim past sections of a video. So there was a key challenge there, that we wanted to make sure that, okay, fine, we understand the old traditional way of communications. We want to move away from traditional print and newspapers. We want to move to video, and we want to make sure we get this engagement. But once again, what other strategies or techniques could we design into the plan to ensure that we have all our users, all our employees, that get the email, click on the link, go to the landing page, start watching the video, but actually watch the video from start to end. So after a lot of head scratching and thinking with the team, we came up with the concept of actually having a competition. So right at the beginning of the program, as part of the introduction, we kind of shared a key point of saying, this is what we're going to cover in this video. That's in the content, and stick around till the end of this video because we're going to ask a question. And in next month's video, we're going to present. We're going to select who the winner is. And the prizes were always kind of nice to have prizes: a Kindle, an iPad, a long weekend away, a spa weekend, or something like that. Something that you actually think, oh, there's some value there, and the business thought, obviously, to invest in a few £100s for a Kindle, quite a few £100s for an iPad or a weekend away was commercially worth it, was viable, with a view of making sure we have a bit of fun, and we kind of celebrate and give back to our employees some small wins with regards to a prize. But that proved really successful because we could see from the data that people watched all the way to the end, which was really good. Another thing that we designed part of the plan was, there's always a question, there's always a common question that we always get asked when producing video content is, should we hire in a presenter or should we use our own staff? And especially when it's B2B, especially when it's internal communications, even more so for training, as much as possible, try to use your own staff. And the reason is, people like to see their peers, people like to see their colleagues, and they're much more comfortable to watch, learn, and see what their colleagues are doing and how they've learned from something, as there's more of a connection. That peer-to-peer approach works way more successfully than either a top-down approach or bringing somebody external that the business doesn't know, colleagues don't know. In particular, with this client, with this customer, what we decided to do on a monthly basis is rotate the presenter, depending on where we were in the country. We bring a new employee from the business and ask them to present, which is a lovely thing because it gave them something a little bit different to do from their day-to-day activity in the business as well. So all of that said, all of that done, we had a challenge to go from a traditional newspaper to a digital medium of video. We designed the digital, we kind of mapped out the digital footprint, the digital plumbing, all the technology to go into place. We worked out a content plan. We supported with regards to production to make sure that we had a team available to capture the message, and then edit it, put it into an interesting program that was digestible and engaging to our audience. And month on, month out, where we started from, which was like a 5-minute program, the business kept asking, can we afford to make this a little bit longer, a little bit longer, and a little bit longer? And I think at its peak, I think we got to about 8 or 9 minutes. And we could see that everybody was engaging with that because the data doesn't lie. Like I said earlier on, I always say I'm a man with an opinion, but you can't argue with the data. So the tools that we use, where we embedded the video onto landing page, gives us that granular data. And we could see that from the engagement graphs on a one-to-one level or an aggregate level, that the lion's share of people were watching the content right to the end. And whether it was a 5-minute piece or a 9-minute piece, as long as the content was engaging and relevant, in some cases educational, in other cases just they were celebrating maybe some wins that the business had, the employees and the staff were interested to watch that content. Obviously peppered with the competition and a win that we in the subsequent months we would always feature. That also helped people stick around as well. So as a result of that, going back to the challenges, what we were trying to solve, the lack of employee engagement, we could see the data that we'd made improvements on that. With regards to irregular communication, we could see that making sure that we roll this out consistently every month, a key day, a key point that when people are expecting this, that created a level of consistency. The business was looking forward to this content month in, month out, even if it was just only for the prize, that consistency was really helpful. The information silos challenge was reduced because the power of video gives you clear, consistent communication. So you could easily capture on video, share that, and everybody's getting the same message. The lack of feedback challenge that was initially recorded, that was hugely improved, because under the videos there was just like you see on YouTube, even though this content would never be put on YouTube, but just like you put on YouTube, you can actually have dialogue communication. We built that same kind of functionality within this microsite that we built, so people could actually engage with each other. They could give feedback back to the leadership team, and that proved hugely invaluable with regards to a level of engagement that the business had never really seen before. The other problems with regards to wrong communication technology, we kind of helped to really offer that solution. So overall, the client was delighted and really happy. And that's not over the first few months. That was the first few months, as well as, you know, at the end of the 12 months, and then for years to go on after that, is something that's well embedded in that business and going from strength to strength. So all of that said, you know, what can we learn from this? You know, that's a large corporate, and we speak to and deal with many businesses up and down the country. And what does this mean to you and to your business? So I take my takeaways for you are: if you're a business that has more than one site, you've got a team that are maybe even working remotely, so you're not always in the four walls, then there's an opportunity that the communications could start to get watered down, and brand values, sales, marketing, content, information, information to go to your employees, everything to do with HR and internal comms, from training to you know, pensions and other details. Once people are at a distance, you run the risk of that communication breaking down. So to use video as a medium, as part of a communication channel, I think is an invaluable way, as well as, once again, reducing your carbon footprint and going digital. I think it's a great way to humanize your brand, to be more human. And in some businesses, especially the business that I mentioned, a lot of businesses that actually never had the opportunity to meet the MDs, the leadership team of the business. And this way, it gives everybody a chance to hear, see what the leaders of that business look like, sound like, what their body posture's like, what their demeanor's like, and get a feel of really who they are, which I believe is a really powerful thing for every employee to know. Well, who's leading this organization? So who's running this organization, and how does the work I do contribute to the overall goals? So just to touch on a couple of things for every business that could benefit from using video internally is, you know, reduce your carbon footprint, which hugely helps the environment, and the environment really needs as much help as it can get from all of us. It doesn't matter how small or large we are, we all play a role there. A huge boost in staff morale, as well as from peer-to-peer support, seeing your colleagues, friends, and peers in front of a camera or on a video, whether it's your next training piece or internal comms piece, I think it just brings a smile to your face. And ultimately, it's that, you know, you want, the business needs to see the data, what is working, what isn't working. If I'm going to make a 5-minute video for the business and roll it out to my 20 colleagues, my 20 staff, or 200 staff, or 2,000 staff, or 20,000 and beyond, depending on how large you are, if I've made a 5-minute piece, I want to know that all of my team has watched all 5 minutes. And the tools that we use allow us to give that data, give them insights to our colleagues, so that if they are, then great. And we could, if the business feels that they need to share more information, then we can make that a little bit longer. If we feel that, if the data tells us that everybody's dropping off at 4 minutes and not seeing that last minute, then we need to either structure our content or make our content more interesting, more engaging, so people get right to the end. And as well as that, we can also see where people either drop off or skip past or come back and watch it again and again. So there might be a really interesting piece of content that you put out that your audience is engaging with, and then you can actually build on that. And in the next subsequent episodes, you can drill deeper, and focus on that content with more depth. A big thing about humanizing a brand, if you have a logo on screen, if I did this whole presentation with PowerPoint and you just heard my voice is still good, and you can see the success of podcasts over the last few years. That voice alone is really powerful. But with regards to just having images on a screen, you could have and learn all of the information that I've shared with you in this live session, but there's little to no personality. And the only way to get personality in animation and motion graphics is really when you produce content at Walt Disney level. And that costs literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds. So the quickest way to build personality into your brand, into your business, is putting yourself in front of camera. And for some people that feel slightly hesitant and slightly shy, we give lots of coaching to make sure you become you're human and yourself, and you are yourself, and your personality comes out. And for other businesses where maybe the leadership team or the MD is like absolutely adamant, I am not going on camera, then that's fine as well. We can look at other champions in the business, whether that's the leadership team or other people in the business that could maybe be the face of the business internally or externally, but and then just support them with giving them the right content, scripts, information, so they can deliver that on camera. The cost savings, quite often people think video is super expensive, and yeah, there's a considered investment to be made, but it's not as expensive as people think. People lean straight towards television or television commercials, and television is expensive, and so are TV commercials. But nowadays, B2B business content, video content for a business can be made quite efficiently. Gone are the days of an investment of tens of thousands of pounds in a production. They're hugely reduced. So I would say, absolutely, you do need a considered investment, but it's not going to be in the hundreds of thousands of pounds. It's going to be in the tens of thousands of pounds. And that's over a year, not per production. But if you've got any questions around that, please, just reach out and, ask the question. So yeah, they're the main takeaways. The journey of how we helped a business go from a traditional paper newspaper for the internal comms to using video for their internal comms, and the benefits that had to their business. If you've got any questions about any of that, if that could be of any help to you, you want to ask more, just please reach out to me. On a final note, I'm going to just check if there's any other questions on the live session in a second. On a final note, from a lot of the people that I engage with, in the three sections that I talk about most, which are video strategy, video production, and video marketing, I got very interesting kind of feedback that the 35% of my market or my community are interested in video strategy. A small amount, 6% of my community are interested in production, and 60%, the lion's share of that, are interested in video marketing, on really how to get that content out there. So if you have any specific questions around them three topics, once again, email me, DM me, all the details are on screen. I'm just going to check if we've got any other questions. I think we're all covered. And in the subsequent weeks, I'll dig deeper and do full-on strategy strategy sessions. I'll talk a bit about production. There's lots of production help out there. But, if my community wants it, I'll happily explain, talk about cameras, microphones, lights, editing, and all of the technical aspect of production. But I think the lion's share of interest from my community for sure is around marketing and distribution. So that's what, once we've created our content, once we know that who our customer, who we're serving, how do we make sure we get our content in front of the right people, understanding the buyer's journey, the customer journey, taking them through from awareness to qualification to nurturing, and then to conversion, and how we can make sure that we can make that as smooth as possible, and how can we pepper video in that communication mix as much as possible to get the desired results. So I'll have that in coming weeks. In between now and then, if you want any ebooks in particular around how to win more business or how to improve your internal communications, or how video can actually fit into your communication mix as a whole over the next 12 months with regards to sales, marketing, and internal communications, please DM me and I can just send you a PDF for you to digest, and hopefully that'll be as valuable as possible for you. So once again, if there's anything else, you know where I am. Email details on screen, DM me. I'm on all the channels, social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. I'm here at your disposal, and I hope I have been as helpful as possible. Yeah, just doing a final check. No other questions. That's great. So on that pleasant note, I wish you all the best. Happy filming, create more content, share your voice, ramp up your volume, and I wish you lots of business success.